Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, Mortal Kombat 11 is coming to Switch, and you know what that means.
Friendship.
It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers. I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. We've got a good show for you today. We're going to be talking about the news from the week, including what was shown off at the reveal event for Mortal Kombat 11. And then on Thursday, we're going to be celebrating the Nintendo 3DS ahead of its 8-year anniversary. 8 years in February. But in the meantime, Mark, how are you?
I'm feeling great.
Yeah? Tell me about that.
I don't, let's see. Anything interesting to add to that?
I mean, sometimes you're just great and not interesting.
I mean, sadly.
Oh.
Maybe most of the time?
Ooh. But great still.
Yeah.
I've got a complaint I would like to register.
Please.
So, obviously, I just grabbed a little bit of friendship, like, sound clip so that we could make a Mortal Kombat joke. I have made the discovery that in every Mortal Kombat video ever that, like, anyone posts to show off finishing moves, friendship moves, babalities, they do them all against a dummy computer player so that they are all always flawless victories, which messes up the rhythm of, like, you want it to be like Sonya wins fatality, but everyone just plays against the dummy so that they know they're going to win when they're capturing this footage. So it's Sonya wins flawless victory.
You can't use
fatality. It's no good. Take one little hit. You can still play against the dummy, but just, like, let the dummy hit you once.
I mean, it's a great point.
So anyone who's ever uploaded a Mortal Kombat fatality video to YouTube, go back and do it again. You done it wrong. I don't ask for much.
Yeah, you really don't. That seems like a totally reasonable request.
Right. All I want is all the fatalities from every Mortal Kombat game ever at my fingertips at all times. Exactly the way I want them.
Without flawless victory.
Without flawless victory.
That seems like that should be achievable. With the internet today?
Yeah, the internet of today can deliver this for me.
Machine learning should make that possible, I feel like.
Here's another thing that the internet of today can get you. My copy of Sonic Forces in your home. All you got to do is email us with your mailing address, and I send it to you. You send an email to Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com, and it's as easy as that.
It really is the future that we were all promised.
That's true. The future that we were all promised is that we would have, like, dangerously close relationships with the entertainers that we listen to, and that they would let us borrow their stuff. I think that's what we were promised.
I've seen Network.
I have not.
That doesn't happen in Network.
We've gotten some new 5-star reviews. Thank you so much for for doing those, for writing those and reviewing the show. It helps us out a ton. So from Van Metra and Vinto Man, thanks so much. We appreciate. If anyone else would love to do that for us, or even tolerate doing it for us, we would love it and tolerate it. All right, Mark, let's get into what we've been playing this week.
So I've been playing Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
Okay.
And I think I figured out what it is that I like so much about the Spirit Board. You know how... So I mostly play Smash Bros. By myself, and I don't really play online that much.
Yeah.
So previously, it was just a lot of, like, setting up different Smashes in Smash mode.
Yeah.
But Spirit Board basically does that for you with interesting and varied, like, opponents.
Yeah. Well, that's... do you have any idea how many spirits you have at this point?
Not like a ton. I think I have like 200 or something like that.
Okay, yeah. It's still a goodly lot. It means you've won 200 fights and lost many more, probably.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, you're just using it as sort of random fight generator.
Yeah, pretty much. I am also maybe like 10 fighters away from a full roster.
Still 10?
Yeah, so
There's so many characters in this game.
So many characters in this game. Here's like what I found the sticking point to be is that I routinely lose to a challenger on the first go round.
Yeah, sure.
And so then you have to play some more before they show up again in like the Champions Gate or whatever it's called.
Yeah, with just that little like icon that appears sometimes.
Yeah, in like the Game and More section.
Yeah.
And so that is what has dragged a lot of this out.
Crazy that is as tucked away as it is. Like, I like that they give you the option to like go and seek it out and challenge those opponents again. But really, as soon as you unlock like the ability to fight them, you should just always have that.
Yeah.
You should get to choose which one you're going to fight.
Because I'm not going to lie, there have been times where there's like 2 or 3 stacked up in there waiting for me to get to them. So you fight one, then you have to go away for a while.
Right.
Check
fight
it
another
back,
one.
see if it's
right.
like come back again. So yeah, I mean, I'm enjoying it. And as the roster has gotten
who
bigger,
you maining right now?
I have been using a lot of Lucario.
Okay.
But and also Ganondorf. I was surprised actually because I've never really played Ganondorf before, and he's really slow but really powerful. And
yeah.
So I've been enjoying playing those two characters, which I generally don't play that much at all. I've also been throwing Zelda in there a little bit because I rarely, I don't know that I've ever played as Princess Zelda really.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that you see like, and this is not a new or interesting observation, but I'm going to share it anyways.
Very
it's
good.
like all the characters are in subtle variations of each other. And so you find the ones that like fit your play style best. So do you want somebody who's like heavy on the ground, but you need them to be, like
I
a
see
little
what
more
you're saying,
powerful,
yeah.
like that sort of thing. And so I'm enjoying like exploring and being
really
like
fine tuning your experience.
Yeah, it's like, oh, maybe I should be playing as Zelda. Like maybe that is actually the play style that I enjoy, like the perfect combination.
Man, it's crazy to think of the different, like all of the different kinds of play styles you could be taking. 70 whatever characters in the game. But then also like the Mii fighters are also another like, I don't know, like 100 different fighters between the 3 of them, right? Because they all have those like different special moves they can. It's a lot, Mark.
It's a lot.
I have been playing Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze on my Wii U because I own it there.
Good for you.
Thank you. I'm fighting the good fight, keeping the Wii U alive. Only one time did it do something super weird on me, as it was like trying to load the game just once. I don't know, like it got in its head that like there was a controller like holding down both a right direction and the A button at the same time, so it was just like making all of these really quick selections. Yeah. So I had to turn it off, and for a second was like, oh no, am I hitting like the Wii U wall? Like, is this it? Is it not gonna work anymore after this? But it does, and it did, and it's fine. But so every time I've tried to play Tropical Freeze, I have done it with another human being and been like, you will be my donkey or my Diddy Dixie Cranky. And sometimes that's you, sometimes that's Sarah, sometimes it's other people. And usually the time that we have to play together is fleeting enough that we're like, okay, let's just go through this and see how far into this game we can get, see how many worlds we can see. But now that I'm playing it by myself, I'm saying, no. I'm going to get every letter. I'm going to get every puzzle piece. I'm going to go back into every level and try and get the like the time trial medallions, try to get the gold ones. Some of them I don't think are possible. But I just started doing this over the weekend, and I have cleared out the first island, like all the puzzle pieces, all the letters. And I've got the first like 3 levels in the next island as well, done the exact same way. And I'm just, it's cool to like, I finish a level and then I'm like, all right back into it because I know there's more stuff for me to find in there. Which is probably how the Donkey Kong games are meant to be played. But like, it's funny how frequently when playing them without having this like completionist mindset, I beat a level and I'm like, great, I never have to think about that one ever again. But it's the perfect time to go back in.
Yeah, it really is a totally different experience playing it multiplayer. When I bought it on Switch when it came out last year, I played through it single player, and the mindset is totally different. It reminds me a lot of New Super Mario Brothers. When you're playing it in multiplayer, it's you're trying to do completely different things because the way that the platforming works
Yeah.
is totally different because you're not just dependent on yourself to make those choices.
Right. Well, yeah, and if two of you are on one platform at the same time in New Super Mario Brothers, you are going to murder each other by accident, but it's gonna happen. But this is also partially inspired by our playing New Super Mario Brothers U Deluxe last weekend or the weekend before, because that is such a that's a good game. New Super Mario Brothers U is a good game, but I feel like I don't know. I feel like the sort of corrective history on it of like being one of the great 2D platformers like ever is maybe a little bit overblown. And we've not done our part to kind of further that narrative. But like playing Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze now, just like the detail in the environments and like just how rich and full each of those levels are, like that game's way better. And yeah, that's just sort of where I am right now. That like I wanted a game that was like that, but not exactly that. And in playing Donkey Kong Country, I'm like, oh, this is actually a very
better version.
This is just a better version of it's got way more personality, and I'm just having a great time with it. So yeah, I'm playing my Wii U. What do you want?
In Nintendo headquarters, a slow clap begins. People begin to stand up,
and then it is quietly snuffed out. All right, so that's what we've been playing this week. Let's get into the new releases and what we might be playing next week.
Kind of, I would say, a slower week for new releases.
Yeah, there's nothing on here that I'm interested in picking up.
So I'm just going to read some of these at random.
Just plow through them.
January 22nd, The Raven Remastered.
No, that's the Edgar Allan Poe?
I assume so, yes.
Remastered, though.
At sundown, Shots in the Dark. That's one game. Future Grind. On the 24th, Smite. Pikuniku. Doodle God, Evolution. Jack Quest, Tale of the Sword. Hashtag Kill All Zombies. Curse Castilla. On January 25th, Flowlines Versus. Heroes Trials. And January 26th, InOps.
What's going on here?
I mean, I really don't have anything to say because I know nothing about any of these games.
I tried. I went to YouTube to look up some trailers, and there's not even really anything on here that I want to like goof about or make fun of. So I guess no one plays any video games this week, right?
I mean,
when does Resident Evil 2 come out?
This week, I think.
Just not on Switch.
Yeah, just not on Switch.
All right. Well,
Kingdom Hearts 3 also comes out very soon.
Maybe not. Maybe the very end of the month?
No, the same day as Resident Evil 2, whatever day that is.
Do they really? They both come out on the same day?
Yeah.
Good work, Square Enix and Capcom. All right, Mark, let's close out this segment. Now it's time for a regular segment on our show. It's time for 433. In 1952, American composer John Cage wrote a piece called 433, wherein a performer or group of performers didn't play their instruments for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. For the purposes of this show, our instruments are talking about Nintendo. So, for the duration of one performance of 433, Mark and I will talk about something not at all Nintendo related, thus fulfilling the contract of the piece. Mark, what are we doing today?
Today we're going to try to solve those 1 minute mystery logic puzzle things.
Yeah, so I've got some pulled up here. Do you have some there? Should I just read one?
Yeah, you can just read yours.
Okay, so I'm pulling one from brainden.com/logicpuzzles. We'll address this one that is the ball, okay?
Okay.
And we're going to do as many of these as we can.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe get stuck on one. The ball. How can you throw a ball as hard as you can and have it come back to you, even if it doesn't bounce off anything? There's nothing attached to it, and no one else catches it or throws it back to you.
Would you just throw it hard enough that it goes around the world?
Okay, so Mark is imagining that we can throw it so hard that it goes all the way around the world, and that we just turn around and catch it, or you find a small enough planet. I think you throw it uphill.
Oh, you throw it uphill.
And then it just rolls down to you.
Yeah, that makes sense. Check the answer. The answer.
Okay, all right. The answer says throw the ball straight up in the air.
Oh, uphill. That's It's pretty good.
It's kind of yours too because you're using gravity.
Am I?
I don't know.
Okay. Here's one.
Yeah.
There is a man walking down the road dressed entirely in black. There are no lights on anywhere and no moon. A car with no lights comes down the road and manages to avoid the man. How?
The man is walking down the road.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. Okay.
I'm just getting clarity.
There is a man walking down the road dressed entirely in black.
Okay.
There are no lights on anywhere and no moon. A car with no lights comes down the road and manages to avoid the man. How?
It's a big highway. It's just happenstance.
Well, okay, let's say
It's not a one-lane road.
There's a man walking down the road dressed entirely in black. There are no lights on anywhere and no moon, so it could be daytime.
Oh yeah, there you go. That's probably it.
Okay, let's check.
And he's
here.
wearing reflective tape.
And it's daytime and he's wearing reflective tape. Let's see. The answer is it's daytime. They don't say anything about reflective tape, but that could totally be true. There's nothing in that contradicts the fact that he's wearing reflective tape.
All right, are you ready for the philosopher's clock?
I am, yeah.
Okay. One absent-minded ancient philosopher forgot to wind up his big clock hanging on the wall of his house. He had no radio, TV, telephone, internet, or any other means of telling time. So he traveled on foot to his new friend's place a few miles down the road, a few miles down a straight desert road. He stayed at his friend's house for a night, and when he came back home, he knew how to set his clock. How did he know?
I'm confused by the premise of this.
So it's his clock stops.
Uh-huh.
He walks to he has no other way of telling time.
Oh, his clock stopped.
Yes. Wait. Forgot to wind his big clock hanging. Right. So I guess we don't even know. He just forgot to wind it.
Okay.
Maybe it's not a wind-up clock. Maybe it's a battery-powered clock. So he traveled on foot to his friend's place a few miles down a straight desert road. He stayed at his friend's house for the night, and when he came back home, he knew how to set his clock. How did he know? Because he knows how long... Okay, so the second his clock stops, he starts walking to his friend's house.
Okay.
Then he knows how long he was gone, right?
Okay.
How long it took him to walk there.
Uh-huh.
So he just...
Because he's at his friend's house? And
Right.
he sees, like, the clock's there?
Right, exactly.
Okay.
And so then when he leaves his friend's house, he just adds that same time back. This is making a lot of assumptions. That he walks the same speed. I don't know. What do you think here, Mark?
So... Yeah, that sounds great.
Clocks can measure time even when they do not show the right time. You just have to wind the clock up and... Okay, all right. We have to suppose that his journey that takes exactly the same time there and back. This is saying that you would wind up the clock and let it go and then just compare your friend's time to... It would keep going just at the wrong time. And so you would be like, okay, it says 3 o'clock now, and then you would walk there. It would be still part of the adding time.
This one's dumb. I don't care for this one.
Well, listen, Brain Den.
Hopefully there's an email address where we can send a complaint. All right, here we go. A father and son are in an auto accident. The father dies, and the son is rushed to the hospital in critical condition. The doctor looks at the boy and says, I can't work on him. He's my son. How can this be?
Okay, so the father was cloned back during the Vietnam War because they needed more soldiers. But one of them was a conscientious objector, and so he went off and became a doctor. But he kept this secret because he knows, and he's the doctor, so he's the responsible one, right? So that's how.
Yeah, okay. Let me look up the answer.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, you're right. No, just kidding. You're not.
The doctor is his mother. All right. So we were accompanied today by the GVSU New Music Ensemble. 433 was written in 1952. Not exactly. New music, guys. Okay, Mark, let's get out of this segment.
So, Patrick, before Christmas, you were wondering what the status of Killer Queen Black was?
I'll be honest, I still am.
Well, the game was originally announced for a winter 2019 release, but it is now planned for release in summer 2019.
Oh.
So it got delayed. There's your answer.
By kind of a while. 6 months.
A season.
A season.
Oh, no, I guess 2 seasons.
Yeah, skipping right over spring. just all the way through it.
Yeah, so I guess we'll see.
I'm excited for this game to come out. Like I have never been able to actually play Killer Queen, as there is no arcade in the Los Angeles area that has one. But I want to play Killer Queen Black.
From the and I kind of forgot this part, but from the blog post where the developer posted this news, I forgot that it's also coming to PC. It's like a PC and Switch release.
Yeah, I mean, they're going for like a sort of wide release of it. The first time actually getting, and it's a different game because instead of being 5-on-5, it's 4-on-4, which obviously makes more sense for the Switch. But this is the first time that it's going to be like a widely available game. So I think they do want it in as many hands as they can.
Yeah, that makes sense. Related, on Friday, Wargroove's official Twitter account showed off the game's Nintendo Switch icon. No official word on release date, but it's got to be close, or at least closer, right?
I mean, well, it's probably not further away than it was yesterday, but Wargroove is one of those games. It looks like Advanced Wars or Fire Emblem or whatever that we've known about forever. Like, have been seeing trailers for it for just a super long time. And any like sign of life, like this is a borderline Pocket Rumble scenario at this point, which means that when it comes out, I'll play it for half an hour.
Is it the same developer? Is it Chucklefish?
It's the same. That's the same. Like,
no, sorry, publisher.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they show off their games too early. Come on, guys, calm down.
Yeah, I feel like was Wargroove one that we saw like right around the Switch release, or like in the first Indie Showcase or something? Like, has it been close
I think
to 2
it
years?
might be the first Indie Showcase. Yeah. I don't know if that is 100% certain, but yeah, I would be willing to believe that
I've been a long time
for 2 years. Yeah.
Square Enix has filed trademarks for HD2D and HD2D. There's a dash in one of them. When I read them, it's the same, but in print it looks different.
Mm-hmm.
So they filed trademarks for HD2D in Europe. And what is HD2D, you might ask? It's the art style of Octopath Traveler.
That like super neat. It's like the 16-bit sprites, but they're in like there's like depth of field, and it seems like
it kind of looks like a pop-up like book. Yeah, a diorama. That's a good way of putting it.
With some like startlingly realistic water and like sunlight. So that's cool that they're trademarking it. Do we think that means that we will see more games in this style, or that they're just sort of trying to protect the novelty of the way Octopath Traveler looks?
I'd be surprised if we don't see more games like this. I'd be surprised if we don't see an Octopath Traveler 2.
Mm-hmm.
I think the first one has sold over 1 million copies at this point.
Nanopath Traveler?
Yeah. Or, I feel like knowing how Japanese naming conventions are, sometimes it'll be a name that like doesn't really make any sense, like Octopath Squared.
Oh, sure. It'll be Octopath Traveler to Shorelient. I can't even do it. Shorelient Decadence.
Yeah, exactly. Something like that. But yeah, I think we read a news item last year around the time of Octopath's release talking about how that studio has the ultimate goal of like releasing one game a year. It's the same studio that worked on Bravely Default
and Bravely Second, yeah.
And so, yeah, it seems like they are a little bit what Tokyo RPG Factory hoped to be.
Yeah, that they actually have hit like a groove of kind of old school turn-based, but now have a hook that people seem to really be responding to, which is this HD 2D style.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's what is Tokyo RPG Factory. Are they still around, or did they kind of disappear?
I don't know what happened after I Am Setsuna
and Lost Sphere.
And I think I Am Setsuna did okay. Lost Sphere, I think, totally
kinda
bombed
tanked,
everywhere.
Yeah. Well, I think that's like I think that's sort of the nail in the coffin for them, because like I Am Setsuna was an interesting game that I feel like everyone was like, okay, we're seeing like the like this promises better games in the future, and then Lost Sphere was like psych, and so maybe they've been dissolved into this, or we don't know.
Yeah,
we have
I don't
no
know
information about this.
Shortly after Mortal Kombat 11 was revealed to be coming to Switch, as well as PS4, Xbox One, and PC, rumors began circulating that the Switch release would be later than the other platforms. Last week, NetherRealm Studios hosted an official reveal event for the game, and it looks like those rumors were false. As of now, the Switch version is planned for release on April 23rd, like all the other versions, as far as we know.
That's good. I feel like that would be a total bummer if this game came out even like a week later, because I feel like it is not the kind of game, especially knowing just what we know about the Switch's online capabilities and how much modern fighting games are built around the online experience. That if the Switch version comes out like a week later or a month later and then can't perform online as well, like it'll just be dead in the water. And like I'm excited for Mortal Kombat 11 to come to Switch. I feel like I'll probably end up getting it on PlayStation.
Yeah, I mean, I think that makes a lot of sense, especially because from what I've seen, Warner Brothers Games is a little bit cagey about like support for the Switch. Like I don't know that we've ever had outright confirmation of I think for sure there's no beta for Switch.
Right.
I don't know that we've had any confirmation of DLC for the Switch version.
Which is
they might be like hedging their bets a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah.
And maybe they're just being quiet about it in general. I don't think we've seen any footage of the Switch version. So maybe they just aren't talking about it in general.
Yeah, well, and they also didn't make a big deal about it coming to Switch when they announced Mortal Kombat 11. It was just sort of on the splash page with the rest of the platforms it was going to be on. Man, it would be so weird if they didn't have the DLC characters on the Switch version.
It would be really weird.
Just because the last two Mortal Kombat games and the two Injustice games have been like really, they put their DLC program like kind of front and center. I believe all of those games have like two different sets of characters of like 5 or 6 characters, like really, really pushing it as like cool, interesting new stuff. And yeah, it would be a total bummer if those weren't coming to Switch.
Especially because it would make that version so incomplete.
Yeah, totally.
I wonder if they're not like specifically calling it out because it's just assumed that it will. Like, why wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But I think there is reason to be a little bit concerned.
Yeah, I mean it is something like the collector edition or like the complete edition is not being offered on Switch, which sort of lends credence to that idea that maybe they're not going to get all of the extra updates.
We also learned that Shiver Entertainment is handling development of the Switch version. They recently handled the development of Scribblenauts Showdown for Switch.
Okay. A game that famously did poorly.
NetherRealm Studios also revealed a new character. I watched the reveal trailer and I have already forgotten how you say this. Jaros?
Sure.
Jairus? Something like that.
Jairus.
Who can manipulate time.
It seems like there's a lot of time manipulation in this thing. Did you watch all of this stuff that came out around Mortal Kombat 11?
No.
So there's a story trailer wherein Raiden has Chinook like chained up in some like pit and is torturing him pretty grotesquely with electricity, and then like someone stops time, and I guess like part of the conceit of this game is that different versions of these characters from throughout like the Mortal Kombat history are going to be fighting each other. So there's
Mortal Kombat into the multiverse.
Yeah, sure. I like that. I would like Mortal Kombat into the multiverse. I mean, there is a did you play Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe back in the day?
No.
So that game, is obviously a crossover between DC and Mortal Kombat, and by the end of that game, they destroy both realities. And so the premise for Mortal Kombat 9 is that Raiden, right before the realities collapsed on themselves, sent a message back in time to himself to stop Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe from happening. And so Mortal Kombat 9 is the stories of Mortal Kombat's 1, 2, and 3 with the slight changes that Raiden was able to make because he knew what to avoid.
I love when franchises like this have incredibly complex like mythology and backstory.
This is a problem with Mortal Kombat from like the second game. The Mortal Kombat games are so mythology heavy, and each one of them introduces like, here's a new parallel dimension and now time travel, and oh, by the way, they are like robots that like eat souls, and like the games are so crazy that by the time we get to the 11th game of the series, like we're gonna be meeting up with Spider-Gwen in the forest. Like, it's just bound to happen.
We also learned that Ronda Rousey will be voicing Sonya Blade in Mortal Kombat 11. And other characters featured in the announcement were, I don't know how
Baraka, Sub-Zero, Raiden, Scorpion, and Scarlet. There's also a teaser for Cabal, the dude with the mask and like big meat hooks, I guess, as weapons.
I don't really know Mortal Kombat that well.
That's okay. I will do my best to represent Mortal Kombat here on this show, and maybe someday we'll get Greg Smith in here, and we can talk about it all together. It'll be good.
Speaking of internet rumors that turn out to be false, last week we talked about a report that data miners had found evidence of Link being a future DLC character for Mario Tennis Aces.
Yeah.
And that would have been pretty cool. But turns out that info is now reported to be 100% fabricated. Totally false.
How does that make you? How do you feel about that?
After we were talking about, hey, what would Link's racket be like? I was like, yeah, actually, that would be really cool to have in this game.
Right, and now you're disappointed that
like a racket with a sword hilt,
yeah,
or just a sword with a racket on it.
Yeah,
like that'd be awesome. So yeah, I'm a little disappointed that it's not true.
I mean, it's a little bit like, not every game needs to be Smash Brothers. Like,
sure,
it's exciting that Mario Kart 8 sort of is, and that it's like, oh yeah, here's some Splatoon stuff, here's some Animal Crossing stuff. But some Mario games can just be Mario games.
Yeah, and that's fine.
That's fine.
It's fine.
No one's mad.
It's fine.
We're fine.
We're fine.
We're fine.
Thankfully, reports that SNES games are being prepared for the Nintendo Switch Online service appear to be true.
Hey.
When the game service was updated last week to include Zelda 2 and Blaster Master, descriptions were added to several of the SNES games in multiple languages, or at least the listings for them. I don't really understand how data mining works.
Yeah.
None of the localized descriptions were there before the most recent release.
Okay, so it is being updated with more information, at least on the back end, about Super Nintendo games.
Yeah.
Obviously, Nintendo has not made any statements about this or revealed or teased anything, but you give us the data and we're going to mine it.
Also released last week for Nintendo Switch Online, and I didn't check out the NES Online this week, so I didn't see it for myself, that there were 2 SP versions released. Ghost and Goblins SP puts you right before the end boss with a dagger item that's like rapid fire and maybe kind of OP.
Okay.
But in classic Ghosts and Goblins fashion, once you defeat them, in order to actually see the ending of the game, you have to beat the entire game over.
Oh, yeah, because that's the way this game works.
Yeah,
right?
So in Ghosts and Goblins, you play through the entire game, but it's not really over at that point. You get to the last level, and then you get sent back to the beginning, and you have to play the whole thing through before you can... So it's like SP in the sense that they like saved you one trip, which is nice.
Yeah. It's nice. It's a little bit like your reward for this game is you don't have to play it.
Well, no, it's more like the reward for this game is we played it like halfway for you, and this game is notoriously terrible.
Yeah. Your reward is not playing it. Ghosts and Goblins SP is just not playing the game.
Yeah. Ninja Gaiden SP also puts you right at the final boss battle. So it kind of seems more and more like the SP versions of any game that's known as difficult is like...
just put you right at the end.
I mean, we saw that with Dr. Mario as well.
Yeah, which is it seems just like a little bit weak. Like what they really should do is just like make a museum mode where you're just like, I want to see this boss fight. I want to see the end of this game. The SP things are a little weird, and then that they're like separate icons on the screen. Is there any way to like delete an icon?
I don't think you can delete it, but I think
you can
sort it way down to the bottom, or like sort it or something. I guess the thing that I like. They never advertise the SP versions. They just show up. And so it feels harmless. Like, it's not like something they're hyping up. Because, they're a little bit, I don't know, disappointing and samey. But also, they're not really advertising it as a selling point.
Yeah.
It's just like another way to check out a game that maybe you wouldn't check out otherwise.
I just don't know why that's not like part of just selecting that game. Like it's weird that there are two different icons in there for Zelda. Like when I start up Zelda, it should just be like, do you want to do this like weird little cheat thing and have all this stuff from the beginning? Sure, great. But for it to be like, no, this is the SP version of the game. It's like, that's the same. It's the same game. You just like have a weird save state in there.
Yeah, I don't know, the whole NES like Switch Online interface feels really half baked. You know, that you can't like scrub forward or you can't scrub backwards like you can on the NES or on the SNES Classic Edition. Just like stuff like that.
Well, also, why can't we get rid of the? This is not. I'm not. We're not starting a whole thing where we're just complaining about this service. But I've got another complaint about it. Why can't you ever get rid of the like display on the top and bottom that shows you what buttons do what?
Oh yeah.
Like I just want that
Unknown.
gone. I want to just see the screen.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to play the games, but weirdly unpolished for a company that released two really awesome Classic Edition consoles not that long ago.
Yep.
The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess came out on the NVIDIA Shield in China back in December 2017, but it just recently received an update that improves the texture qualities. The Wii U version had improved graphics and lighting, but this new update improves the look of the game even more.
That's kind of cool. It's weird that an old, like a remastered old game gets like another update and looks even better. I don't know. You think we're ever going to see an even better looking version of this game on the Switch?
I don't know. The Wii U releases that have been coming to Switch have all, I think, across the board performed better than
their Wii U
their
counterparts.
Wii U releases.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not like if they did want to make an HD Zelda collection.
Oh boy.
You know,
yeah.
I would totally buy that. I would totally want to be able to play Wind Waker on my Switch.
So what if that is what in your mind is like the Zelda HD collection? Is that Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, Skyward Sword?
I mean, that would be
Skyward Sword.
That would be. It would be cool if they. I have never really played Skyward Sword, so it'd be
Yeah.
interesting to check out. I cannot imagine that they would sell those as like one package, though.
Yeah, no kidding.
Seems like it would be 3 releases. Yeah. I don't know. The way that they've been handling these like Wii U to Switch ports makes me think that they'd be individual releases.
This is another thing that I was thinking about in regards to New Super Mario Brothers U Deluxe. Remember a while ago when we were like, you know what they should do? They should do a New Super Mario Brothers All Stars and just put all 4 of them on one Switch cartridge. Why didn't they do that?
Joke's on me. I bought just the Wii U Deluxe one, so I think that's the reason why they didn't bother doing it, because they didn't need to.
I guess, but like,
it would. It would
have been so good.
It would have been so good.
It would have been so nice to just like have a little bit, just have more, you know.
Yeah, it's why I don't think we would ever. I mean, the only reason I think there's even the possibility that we get Metroid Prime Trilogy is because a precedent has been set that is how those games would be presented.
Already exists.
Yeah.
I mean the thing with Metroid Prime, although they did it in the first place, I was gonna say the first thing about Metroid Prime Trilogy is that you would need to do something about the controls, because the third one can only be played with like the Wii pointer controls, and you can't really do that on the Switch. But for the Wii version of the Prime Trilogy, they went back and added the pointer controls to Metroid Primes 1 and 2.
Yeah, so they'd have to like strip that stuff out. I don't know. The more we talk about it, it's like
the more it seems like a huge undertaking
and like okay, not worth it.
Okay, so we got to take these 3 games, upres them to HD, widescreen them, and remove pointer controls.
2, yeah. 2 of them we have to revert the controls to something that. But even then, it was like a GameCube controller, so it'd be totally different,
right?
With like a dual analog. And then the third one has never not been pointer controls.
Yeah, that game's never coming out. A Metroid Prime Trilogy
it
on
just
Switch,
doesn't make
it's never going to happen.
It just seems like so much work.
I just talked us out of it. Like that's one of those things that I feel like everyone's like that'll come someday. We'll see that. We're never going to see that.
No, it's so much more than a no-brainer.
Mm-hmm.
while you can no longer add points to your Wii Virtual Console, that's something that happened like last year, I think, at the beginning of last year, maybe even earlier than that. You have still been able to use existing points to purchase games, but in 8 days, that will no longer be true.
Wednesday, January 30th. That is your last opportunity to purchase anything with points or download anything that you have previously purchased.
Yeah, so the second one, I think, for probably more people than the first,
yes,
is a big point. January 30th, last day that you can download something that you previously purchased from the Switch eShop.
Right. So if you've got your old Wii that like you haven't touched in a long time,
and you're using as like your retro gaming console, because there are a lot of games on Wii Virtual Console that
aren't
never
anywhere
came out.
else. Yeah, and it's got a good like Genesis library. It's got a good Master System library. It's got a good like Neo Geo library, and it's got a good TurboGrafx library. And those aren't really available everywhere. And then just a ton of NES and Super NES. Like there are a lot of good games on that system. Nintendo 64. There's just a ton.
Well, and just like Wii exclusives.
Yeah. Yeah. So if there was anything that you ever wanted downloaded onto your Switch, do it now. You got 1 week and then it's gone forever.
Finally,
presumably forever. It would be weird if they like took it down for a couple of years and then we're like, surprise, the Wii store is back.
But never say never.
Right. Never say never.
Finally, just in time for our Nintendo 3DS focused episode on Thursday, Nintendo has announced 3 new games are being added to the Nintendo Selects line of discount software. On February 4th, you'll be able to pick up Super Mario Maker, The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask 3D, and Star Fox 64 3D for $19.99 in the US.
All good games, all deals.
Yeah, I'm surprised Star Fox 64 3D wasn't already a Nintendo Select. Just because it was an earlier 3DS title.
Yeah, it was one of the like first big Nintendo games on it. It is a game that in its physical form has become hard to come by. So I think them reissuing it here, because with the Nintendo Selects, it drops the price digitally, but it also drops the price physically and gets it back out into the wild. Like this is a one where like I've seen the cart go for like $50-$60, which is a lot for a 3DS game. So it is cool that they are just sort of inserting that one back into the sort of ecosystem. But it is surprising to me that Super Mario Maker, I mean, I guess by the time it came to 3DS, people weren't really thinking about it or whatever. But Majora's Mask, like those are both like big. I still think of them both as fairly recent releases on 3DS.
Yeah, I would. I'm tempted to pick up both because I didn't own a Wii U, so I haven't messed around with Mario Maker a ton.
Oh yeah,
and like I know that the sharing capabilities are neutered on the 3DS, but that's not really that big of an appeal to me.
Yeah, well, and as long as you can play like just a random challenge mode where it gives you a bunch of Mario Maker levels to play, like that's great.
And I don't really like the. I usually don't spend a lot of time in like crafting my own levels, like that sort of thing. But for $20, worth checking out Mario Maker. I feel like, and I have never played Majora's Mask 3D.
Which it's a great way to play that game. I already own Majora's Mask 3D, and I did play a bunch of Super Mario Maker on Wii U. But I will probably pick up Star Fox 64 3D because I used to love Star Fox 64 back in the day. And I think that like the 3D, because it's not just that they took the same game and made it 3D. It's a remaster basically of this game. And in my mind, that's just the best. That's the best Star Fox, and I want like the best version of it. And I'll pay $20 for that.
Yeah, I'm really excited for our conversation on Thursday because the Nintendo 3DS is such a good system.
It's got so many good games, and so many. We will talk about this on Thursday. All right, Mark, let's get out of the news. That is going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Remember, please rate, review, subscribe on Apple Podcasts. All of that helps us out tremendously. It's how we get seen and how you get a little shout out at the beginning of one of these episodes where we say thank you for rating us. And thank you for rating us 5 stars, both of y'all that we shouted out before. That is good. You can follow us on Twitter. I'm at Patrick_Ellers. Mark is at MK Mitchell. And the show is at Cart Society. If you want to get us on Facebook, the Facebook page is just Nintendo Cartridge Society. Olivia Duncan made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Ellers saying thank you for listening.
Campfire.